Hello, one. Hello, all. Welcome to this April 28th edition of Show Business. I come to you, as always, as CP.
I'm Ian Fuego from The Horror Show and Infotainment.
And I'm Lindsey, and my 2 cents of nonsense. What's up, guys? Good to be back.
Yeah, and Chauncey will not be joining us today. Chauncey, again, it needs to be stated, I think we need to remind you of this every now and again, that Chauncey, for as much as Chauncey is the fourth member, Chauncey has stuff that goes on where she needs to not be the fourth member, where she's legally able to tag in and out. So Chauncey it is doing Chauncey things and is very busy. So,
She's kicking ass at Chauncey.
Yeah. Chauncey's got a bunch of things that are way more important than talking to a bunch of nerds about movies. Oh, yeah. So this happens to be one of those weeks.
I still remember the print deadlines and the late 2000s and it's not fun, but that's what she is enduring today. And sad to not have her here because I really wanted her impressions about the Oscars, even though she had said, in weeks past she doesn't care very much about them.
Yeah, so. Well, we can still get them at a future date, but we'll just not directly. And an apology to everybody for us starting late. I literally was in the hospital Monday night. You can't really tell now, but I had an infection in my cheek, and I wasn't talking. I just wasn't talking for the last 2 days. So, darn, you were depraved of my voice. So, but I'm back. So, I don't know what we want to get into first because the Oscars happened, and I wouldn't say they went off smoothly, or at least as far as I'm concerned. We had a movie that just dominated, which. It's weird saying that in post-COVID anything.
Not quite a fatality as some people had intended, at least as far as quality in my estimation goes.
Really?
No, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. Cecil was a little bit more so on board, but as we had our lengthy review, which is on the Horror Show, he kind of understood my criticisms. I think I don't know. It's like what 50 something on Rotten Tomatoes. So
it has
been it has been kind of a divided sort of situation.
All right. Well, why don't we stick there? Mortal Kombat came out this weekend to both home media, HBO Max, and worldwide box office, and won the box office.
Oh yeah,
barely though over that anime, Demon Slayer, right? So
yeah, but who?
Were the final numbers that close? I guess I missed the final count. That's great.
That is
both in the low 20s, if I'm not mistaken.
Accurate. 23 for Mortal Kombat. Demon Slayer was 21.
Oh wow. Okay.
And in a distant third was Godzilla vs. Kong with 4.3.
What's a Godzilla versus a Kong? I don't even. Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's so 2 weeks ago. All right, so Fuego, start us off with your Godzilla v Kong hatred there.
Well, it's not even so much that because of the fact that I maybe found more fun in that movie than in this Mortal Kombat film that just came out this past weekend. So Cecil and I, sorry, I'm just adjusting the headphone. Cecil and I had initially planned with Robert Duell from the Horror Show to review it the very following morning on Friday. And I actually was one of the few possibly who stayed up and watched it right at the midnight drop. And I was kind of underwhelmed, really, really was. It was great to have that R-rated gore-centric aspects, but we got that in the Scorpion's Revenge animated film about a year or so ago. So, I mean, that had been placated. I thought Legacy, the web series, was really strong as well. That one at least developed characters where I felt that this one, most notably this shoehorned in new character of Cole, I thought was really unnecessary. And I'm like, you have so many characters, dozens of characters from this video game series. We're at the count of 11, and that's not even including spin-offs and stuff like Shylon Monks and whatever, Sub-Zero mythologies. So I have loved this series since I remember sneaking into the Peter Piper Pizza here in Phoenix to play it, and going and seeing the original in theaters and just loving the franchise. I fell off it just like a lot of people did for a while when they were doing Deadly Alliance and Deception and trying to like just rebrand things a little bit, recalibrate possibly. But I did not like this. I thought going with like Raiko and Melina and some of the villain selections, I thought Shang Tsung was incredibly underdeveloped. I didn't like Raiden. I didn't like Kung Lao. I thought Liu Kang was okay, but he just didn't have enough time and development as far as writing to do anything. I tried so hard to impart back to those print days of my career and be like, okay, find things that were positive and decent about this film, but it was definitely a lot more that I could gripe about, and as opposed to just being an angry Joe or like rage culture we know is so big on YouTube. I'm not going to do that. I was very disappointed with the new Mortal Kombat movie, unfortunately. So
wow,
yeah,
wow. Yeah, I mean, it's clear within 10 minutes that this isn't your 20-plus-year-old Mortal Kombat. Like it's pretty clear. It's, first of all I could think was Asian market for the first 5-10 minutes where they were actually giving us backstory and some life behind the, well, at least a Sub-Zero character and what.
Well, at least they made him intimidating, if nothing else.
Sure. Yeah. He was, like him and Hanzo were like the best parts of the movie, but the fact that we got so little of them, it was almost kind of a bait and switch in my estimation, being a big player of the games. And then again, they've retconned that story so much with, okay, Quan Chi is actually the one who killed his family and all this different shit.
Yeah.
They have changed it so much over the years. So.
Mortal Kombat is a mythology that I like to read up on Wikipedia every now and again, but it makes no sense. Maybe at least from my casual standpoint, but I love how insane it is.
Yeah, see, I've been out of touch with the video game for a while, so perhaps it was a little bit easier for me to digest, but a lot of it was just like, all right, cool. We're not just focusing on this dude is this thing and he's gonna fight. This dude is this thing and he's gonna fight. This girl's this thing and she's gonna fight. It felt like they were filling out the stories as best they can for a movie about a bunch of people fighting in a tournament.
Which we never get, which was really aggravating for me. But
there was a moment where I realized there was like 20 minutes left in the movie, and I'm like, wait, but they haven't even started the tournament yet.
Wait a minute. It's the 10th tournament. You guys got to get going.
And they said that was a deliberate decision from what I've seen from this guy who was a first-time screenwriter. We also had a first-time director in Simon. He was handpicked by James Wan, though. So, I mean, there was hopefulness, but I just kind of felt like the budget showed at times in the fact that we spent so much in the second act in the training grounds and so many fights that transpired there, and we're having final battles. I was talking with Chauncey the other day, and I'm like, okay, we have like the Sonya Kano battle in a double wide in a trailer. Like, what are we doing here?
It's also kind of weird how she wanted to fight Melina and she had to kind of be roped into fighting Kano. It's like they're like, no, the fans want you to fight Kano. You can't fight the one that beat you up earlier. A good point.
And yet Kano was one of the most entertaining actors in the entire film. Like, he kind of stole it in some ways.
Like, the character actually had personality. The actor was having fun, which I don't really know if we could say the same about some of the other people. And no one was, like, objectively bad that I thought. Like,
no.
Well, I mean, I guess not Shang Tsung, Raiden. I mean, like, how do you follow up Christopher Lambert's Raiden, I guess? But, like, you got to bring, like, a little something. I don't know.
See, I felt like the Goro fight was a little unearned. If I'm gonna nitpick, which I'm on board. I'm on board with the movie if this is what you want to give me, and it's a beautiful lead into a sequel because I think they knew what they were doing from Jump Street, where it was just like, all right, let's try to not worry so much about the 10th tournament, and let's buy ourselves time and train. And
did you guys ever see The Legend of Chun-Li, the Street Fighter movie?
no, that's a different series.
You know, but this gave me flashbacks to that though, because like the Chun-Li ends with, now go find character from game and then we can have tournament. The same way that this movie's like, I'm gonna go find Johnny Cage so we can have tournament. It's just like,
yeah,
but that movie didn't get a sequel either, so why are we aping that movie? Who knows? Maybe it's not actually aping it, but
I think if this is a one-off, I still think it's okay.
Yeah.
Because they kind of, they kind of get rid of the problem.
That's true,
right? Like they needed to not have cheating for the 10th tournament, and they didn't, and now there's a bunch of dead cheaters.
Yeah, I guess all the fighters for Outworld are dead now. Can they even fight the tournament?
Well, I mean, only a handful at this point, because anybody who's played the games knows there are so many other potential peeps that they could bring in. But this felt more reminiscent of the later games like 10 and 11, where it's less about the tournament and it's more about like large forces of fighters coming and, trying to, mess things up before they can even have a tournament or a competition or anything of that nature. It's something that's been more prevalent in the later games if anybody's played them, and I think that's where they derived a little more inspiration. I don't necessarily like that as much because I have a very soft spot for the 95 film. But
I do as well, but as far as watching a movie is concerned, they're not in the same conversation. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, drastic difference in tone for sure.
Yeah, right. And it felt very, very respectful. It felt very, very attributed to its Eastern culture root.
Yeah, I liked how they specified like this person speaking Japanese, this person speaking Chinese to each other.
Yeah.
That was kind of an interesting little dynamic they had going on there. Honestly, the opening scene was the best part. It was all kind of there was like some peaks after that, but it never really got above
yeah, the opening scene, I was like, oh, dude, we're doing the 1600s, really? And then some dude took a fucking sword in his head, and the blood was just like, I was like, oh, all right, I'm in.
Yeah, I just love the like origins of the Van Damme spear and everything, and the fact that you saw it was like this little gardening tool, and then he just ties up the rope to it.
Yeah,
it was pretty rad.
Yeah, and he just fucking swings it around his head and takes out 3 guys at once. All right, you got me, movie. Now what?
Who needs a kunai with chain? You got kunai with rope over here. Like.
Yeah, although you have to say, without spoiling super, like Sub-Zero was obviously formidable enough that you needed multiple people to fight him at the same time. When we get to the third act and stuff. So I like he was like him, and then the underutilized Scorpion were probably my favorite parts. I thought Jax was good. I thought Sony was good, but it's just really the Cole and his family dynamic and kind of the silliness of it. I didn't buy into it, man. I just was not a fan. But
the Arcana stuff, is that in any of the games?
No.
Okay. I had a feeling that was invented. Okay. And like I feel like Cole's had like easily the best Arcana too, right? It was literally plot armor. Like, did we see anything hurt him after he got that stuff all over him, or was he just invincible? I don't really remember.
Yeah, I can't say I do either. I'm going to tell you guys, I actually had tickets through my AMC A-list to watch this in theaters after watching it on Max, and I canceled my reservation because I was going to go see it in Dolby and everything, and I don't know. I was just hopeful it was going to be a little bit better. It's not a terrible film, but I was the burden of expectation. I was just expecting a little bit more after that R-rated trailer that did those gangbuster numbers. So,
well, I mean, the blood ice knife cut, that's still so good. That's such an awesome moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was like cauterizing wounds too as he was creating them because of the ice. They went above and beyond with the gore, which I did not expect whatsoever.
Yeah, and CP, I watched Cody's review and talking about the Carnage candy and all that stuff. Like, they most definitely went for it, dude. They did. They lived up to the R rating. I guess they even pushed the NC-17 rating from what I was reading in a Yahoo interview with Simon, the director, a little bit. And that's probably with like, Kung Lao's hat fatality and Jax with the head smash from the video game and certain things. So, I mean, they delivered in the regard that they did not hold back in going for the visual aesthetics of the nastiness of the series. It was just, I wanted better storytelling. I wanted better character development. I felt like this was more so for fans in comparison with the casual viewer, because my girlfriend was watching it with me and she was just like, what's going on? Like, I haven't played these games. Like, what the hell? You know, who is this person? Like, what? She was confused, and for that reason, I don't know if it was as accessible as the '95 film in that regard, at least. So,
yeah.
Do we have overall scores for the movie?
I also wanted to throw that just because I like the character Cabal a lot. I think like the best characters were Kano and then Cabal.
Cabal's
and then maybe Liu Kang. Yeah, it was
which
a total.
One's Cabal?
Kano's buddy that had the dual.
Oh, the dude with the robot helmet,
the breath mask on. Yeah.
He's also from the Black Dragon, so the same like team as Kano. Essentially, he was introduced in the third game. And he becomes a good guy in some of the later lore, or at least like sides with some of the more virtuous characters, I guess. But it was just the guy who did the ADR for his voice that I just really
it was odd.
Yeah,
it did feel a little Midwesty. I don't know. It just felt a little American.
That's totally 100% fine. It was just another character with personality. So it's like, oh yeah. Talk, do things, and then he talked and did things, and it was a little underwhelming.
I didn't Kano even drop a couple of C-bombs? Like he just was. I might have just mentally projected that onto him, but he was very, very. He didn't hold back a bit, and that was quite pleasing to this idiot right here.
Oh, I also like that Sonya kept having blades. Like, her name is Sonya Blade. She kept just like pulling knives out of just nowhere. That was kind of fun. I thought that was cute.
Earn your damn tattoo. How long did it take you to figure out where she was going to get her marking from?
Yeah, that was pretty premeditated. So
I was trying to think if I could justify, but no, that was.
I was like, oh no, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, Kano being a treacherous character, obviously, I was like, okay, when is the other shoe going to drop? Like, what is going to happen here? It seemed very obvious in that regard. But, props to the Kano character and the fact that they at least had a villain, like, of all the villains, and I guess that is kind of a spoiler, and I feel like, sorry, guys, if you don't expect him to eventually become bad. But, I mean, between Shang Tsung and between... like Raiko and like Natara, who the CGI looked terrible on her wings, at least in my opinion.
Wings,
they look pretty bad,
really, really bad. At least we had a villain with some personality, and so in that regard, I guess Cabal falls into that same contingent, so to speak. But I mean, just the weird selection of who the adversaries from Outworld were going to be. I didn't feel like the set design of Outworld looked anywhere near as good as the original film. The fact that we had so many fights in the original film in drastically different places, the Living Forest and the Armory and, all of these different places. And like the scale of that film felt bigger to me than this one, despite the fact that this had like almost 3 times the budget. Granted, it was 25 years ago. So,
it's actually $5 more once you do conversion and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, some of those like temples in Thailand and stuff that they found. I mean, I don't know.
Good.
I'm not here to crap on the film anymore because I did find merit in aspects of it. So.
Yeah,
I was really disappointed when they did the bridge setting and nobody got uppercutted off of the bridge. I was like, oh, come on.
Good point. There was a lot of fan service. It just felt like there was moments where it was just like you could have done that. And all right, I guess. I guess we've had enough fan service for one movie. Cecil brings up Kano's wah wah in the background when Sonya says she doesn't have a mark, had me rolling. That was pretty funny. You have to pay attention to hear it though, because she's like, I don't have a mark. And in the background you hear wah wah. And it's fucking Kano just shitting on her head.
Well, that's how you could tell he was having fun, because that felt improvised. To me. That didn't feel like that was in the script.
Yeah, they would have had a mic on him if they certainly knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
And Sky's got a bit of a crush.
Oh.
Dragon kicked me in the face any day.
Okay,
I would assume.
I thought he was good, guys. You know?
He was pretty good.
And that I wanted more from him was where I was disappointed. I thought like it was like Raiden and Kung Lao, especially from that contingent at the temple, that felt like wooden and like they were uncomfortable, maybe acting within the constraints and with the script. And I don't know if they were like Far East actors, maybe not as good with English or whatever. And that's not me hating in any way, but. Still, it's it's something to take into consideration, I guess.
What's funny is before this movie came out, there was like a throng of people on Twitter, and by a throng, probably like 6, who are like, "Oh, what? This movie's only an hour and 45 minutes. How are you supposed to get Mortal Kombat in an hour? This needs to be a 4-hour."
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. A little bit longer might have actually helped.
How can you get a 7-minute fighting game into fucking 80 minutes? What the hell?
Slow-mo. Lots and lots of slow-mo.
And yet I was reading the actor who portrays Sub-Zero, he's signed on for 4 films, so it was almost like a Power Rangers situation.
They always
obviously
do
hoping
that.
for a franchise.
Yeah, I'll say this again. Christian Bale signed on for 3 Terminator movies. Still waiting on those other 2. Just how many they sign on for never really matters that much.
No, not at all. In fact,
I wonder if there's if that means they have to pay them more, because don't they have to say oh, so I'm signed on for this?
I think that's them protecting themselves just in case it is a hit, where it's like, oh, you signed on for this, so eat shit. As for the set design, I thought was fantastic, especially like when Sub-Zero was around and everything was frozen and.
Yeah.
I don't know what their budget was, but it never felt cheap. It never felt chintzy.
Yeah, it was around 50, if I'm not mistaken, before marketing, obviously. So
it felt legit. It felt good. Again, I hate to compare it to 95 over and over again, but 95 felt like such a weekend shoot compared to this movie, where it was pretty. It was pretty. The camera work at times was actually quite neat.
I thought there was a lot of quick cuts, though. That especially
I will agree. There's some fighting scenes
like as much. I mean,
there's some fighting
long
scenes.
takes on the fights, man, and they didn't do it here.
Yeah. There's some fighting scenes where you're like, wait, what? Oh. I couldn't tell what happened there. Okay.
Thank you. I can't believe I almost completely forgot to bring this up. There were moments in this movie where it felt like it was edited by a YouTuber. And I don't necessarily, I'm not saying YouTubers are bad editors and stuff, but have you ever been watching a review for a movie on YouTube and they're playing footage? Okay, no, never mind. So you're watching a review for a movie on YouTube and they're playing footage from a scene of let's say someone on their phone, just doodling away on their phone, but then the scene within the movie, after doodling on their phone for a second, then there's a quick cut to a different angle, so you see a creepy guy behind them or something. And it's it's suspenseful, but in the review, they cut away to a different set of footage after they've done the quick cut to the other guy. So there's this distracting other shot in there.
Yeah. And
it doesn't add up with what's that happened 3 times in this movie.
Yeah.
And all 3 times, and maybe going whoa, but it completely took me out of it. One of them was on, I think it was the bridge. So the guy with the hammer's there, he's looking around, and then there's this half-second shot of him from behind, and then a completely different angle of Jax saying, "Yo, let's fight." And I'm just why'd you have to have that half-second shot in there? That disoriented, just cut from the hammer guy to Jax. Why did you do that? Yeah, sorry, editors rant. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. YouTubers who somehow interfere in the flow of a movie sometimes. I mean, I get it. You gotta avoid that DMCA or whatever the fuck it's called. But
Right.
sometimes
I'm dealing with one of those right now. They suck.
Oh, did one of your Sharkman videos get taken down?
No, not even. It's my Freaks review from like 3 years ago, and I'm just like, okay, sure, take that down. Why not? That's fine.
I usually just say, okay, goodbye, bye.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, how about I just get rid of it? Now we don't have to worry about anything.
I don't even know. Yeah, it'll be resolved this week. So, you know.
But
We'll
I also
see.
felt like the duration of those fights, even beyond the quick cuts and edits and stuff, like so many of those third act fights that were supposed to feel just so pivotal and so important, they just kind of breezed by, so to speak. And so that was another, kind of gripe that I had. But
I like that there were stakes. People died. I mean, that I felt like that had to happen in a movie called Mortal Kombat. Like,
that's true. Okay,
there was a fair point where it was like, all right, is anybody gonna pay the price to help better the group?
There was one character in particular, and we know it's the Shang Tsung bit that I thought the effects were actually pretty good.
Yes.
And
yes.
I thought it was a effectively sad scene without spoiling who it is. So.
Well, he was an interesting character. I wanted more of him. He just kind of was like, "Hey, I'm here now." I'm like, "Oh, cool," and then he does that cool thing, and I'm like, "Oh, cool," and then he's gone. I'm like, "Oh, sad."
Egg roll delivery boy? Is that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Him and Kano having their back and forth, and that actually reminds me of another Kano line where he's talking about, Gandalf, where are my, egg rolls or whatever.
Yeah, Kano had all the sick burns. Yeah,
he had some pretty nasty lines where I was surprised they actually pushed those through. So.
So scores out of 5, Lindsey. You have to do numbers.
Can I do a Kano one-liner out of 6? Like, does that? I would honestly give this okay, I'll be generous and say a 1.5 out of 5 because I'm really I have no interest in really watching this again. Like, I'll watch Kano clips on YouTube and I'll laugh at those, and a couple of the fights kind of disembodied from themselves. But I have no interest in continuing Cole Lucas or Lucas Cole or Cole Young or whatever the character's name was.
Yeah, the lead was probably the weakest character out of all of them, which is
and you know what it also reminded me of in the weirdest way? Because Paul W.S. Anderson did the original Mortal Kombat. Then he went on to do Resident Evil, which is all about this original character. Oh, Event Horizons. I love me some Event Horizon. Don't worry. So, but this gave me flashbacks to that. Not to Event Horizon, to the made up character in Resident Evil that was the star.
Okay, just to shoehorn in somebody who wasn't in the lore. Why are they?
Yeah, it's okay. This is because there's not enough lore for us to explore. Sure, why not? But yeah, so 1.5 out of 5, maybe a 1.75. You know what? A 1.8. There you go. A 1.8 out of Lindsey.
Yeah, I think on the letterbox they gave it a 2.5. So it was me, and those opening minutes, which I cheated and I watched the opening 7 minutes when they released it a day or two before, and I was like, holy shit, I cannot wait for this movie. And that probably built the burden of expectation a little bit more, so even beyond the trailer, because I was like, wow, Scorpion is going to be a main character, even though I've cosplayed as Sub-Zero and I've always preferred him. And I know, by Han or whatever his actual name is, they've gone back and forth with him becoming Noob Sabat and all these different things. But and his younger brother becomes Sub-Zero. So it's the lore is very steeped in a lot of, triviality, so to speak. But
do you know the story behind the name Noob Saibot, by the way?
Tobias Boone
and John Tobias backwards, which is fun.
It's just cute. I love it,
dude. I was such a Mortal Kombat maniac for so friggin' long, and so the burden of expectation it's heavy, it's almost like Pilgrim's Progress kind of shit. And I after watching that opening 7 minutes, I thought it was going to be way better than it actually turned out to be. But 2.5 is where I would leave it. So I guess that would not be considered a positive review. in the like proper critical scheming of things. But
also on a Rotten Tomatoes meter, you gave it a 6 out of 10, which you marked negative.
yeah, it's all dependent upon the scheme of things, I suppose. But
for the record, Chauncey was on the anti Mortal Kombat train. So
yeah, she had 2 videos about it, like five wrong things or whatever.
Yeah, she wanted to make sure to let all of us know that at least drop in that she was not pleased. So I stand alone as the person who enjoyed.
Hey man, you and the cheese, you stand alone. Don't worry about it. You're good.
Godsmack style, dude.
Yeah, fucking eat bottled cheese. Here we go. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. I had a very good time with it. I didn't expect too much of it, and part of it is, how are you supposed to make a movie about a fighting tournament and make it interesting?
You ever seen Bloodsport?
No.
Yeah.
Neither have I, actually. But it's about a martial arts tournament.
Which this obviously, I mean, even back before the original game came out, it derived a lot of inspiration from that. So it is what it is. But yeah, Burden of Expectation, CP, dude, that was probably the worst thing for me within this film.
I bet.
Love that trailer.
I bet.
Man. Love that trailer.
It really was a dang good trailer. I was like telling myself, like, don't get excited. I'm excited. Don't get excited. I just couldn't let myself. So, you know what I think would be cool? Like, they've done a couple of different iterations of this, and to various degrees. Like a Mortal Kombat series. Like, look at anime. Some of the most popular arcs of the most popular anime ever are always tournament arcs, because when you have like a 12 to 14 to 24 episodes per season, you could really dive in and really get into the meat of this while you're doing a tournament. It's but I mean, also maybe that's just anime. Or what do we got, a Mortal Kombat anime? That'd be cool. I'd be down for that.
Don't we have one?
Scorpion's Revenge from last year that I told you guys about. It's R-rated and it's awesome, and it's essentially just adapting the first like video game with a little bit of flavor from some of the sequels, but just like very sprinkled in as far as like the retconning of mythology. So
I had Emily shitting egg rolls for a second during one of the moments where Scorpion was in the movie. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and what's this guy's big deal? I'm like, I'm certain he's going to kill him using fire somehow. Mm-hmm. I said, if I had to guess, he'd pull his face off and reveal a skeleton and then blow him up. And Emily's like, why would he do that? And next thing you know, he didn't reveal a skeleton, but
he did breathe fire. Yeah,
but just a blaze. She's like, what the fuck? How did you know that? I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Up, block, up.
I mean, I still very distinctively remember, even before the original movie came out, this game series, like, it was kind of instrumental in the forming of the ESRB, like the video game rating system.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. Like, all those congressional hearings and stuff, like Mortal Kombat and Night Trap, which was like kind of a like motion capture sort of like click and go along sort of game. But those were two of the most instrumental in the fact that they were like, oh, video games could be corrupting the minds of our children. And I was like, what, 9-10 years old around this time in the early 90s, and so it was just I very distinctively remember how infamous Mortal Kombat was, and the fact that they very brazenly were just like, we're decaf, we're gonna be violent, and we don't care, And so even though Nintendo was like, no, we're gonna take out the blood and put sweat and stuff like that, Genesis, who had a blood code, even by the second installment of the series on consoles, they were like, yeah, we're gonna make more money if we have the blood in there. So let's just, why not? So that's.
Well, did they make it green for some of them, or like no?
Over in Japan,
probably reptile,
yeah, and they, like Mortal Kombat is still, even some of the newer installments are banned in like Japan and Australia and certain other territories because of the fact that they are so just unabashedly violent and the fact that they revel in it. So I mean, I can see why this movie just would be a fan pleaser. despite the fact that the mythology is scaled back and it's not really going to explain too much.
I love that you brought up the ESRB and like the controversy around these games when they came out, because when I was a youngin, my stepdad was a manager for Round Table Pizza, and pizza arcade 90s, like clearly, and so they
Willy's
had
Wonderland.
Basically a little less violent, but more or less. And at one point he had both Mortal Kombat, one of them, I can't remember which one, and Area 51. And so my mom was torn. It's like, oh wait, Lindsey, I don't want you playing the violent punchy game, but I also want you playing the violent shooty game. Can't you just play the crane game? I'm like, no, I don't want the stuffed animals, Mom.
I mean, at least with Area 51, you're shooting aliens, so it's not like it's like not people killing.
A potential threat to society.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Ma.
We watch X-Files at home. Let me shoot the aliens here. Like, come on, what's the big deal?
Yeah, this was even before Independence Day. Come on, man.
Shall we get into the Oscars or nobody?
Well, I mean, I was singing the praises of Nobody a couple weeks ago when it first hit theaters, and I know it's been on VOD for a minute. Did both of you guys see it?
I've seen it. If Lindsey hasn't, we'll skip right ahead.
I have not seen it. Okay. If you guys want to say something about it, go ahead, and I'll try and watch it this week, and we can talk about it next week.
No, we can wait.
Actually, CP, just spoiler free maybe, because in some ways, dude, I liked his performance better than Keanu's, in the fact that being a family man, it intrigued me a little bit more, and I thought he brought a little more like actor gravitas,
really
to the performance in some ways. I personally didn't. I love Christopher Lloyd in it too, but
Christopher Lloyd's incredible in that movie.
Yeah, he's so good. When he shifts into the mode in the later half of the movie, it's so fun.
I would say that Saul never really, there's this little comfort zone that he never really moves out of, where I guess you could technically say that for Keanu Reeves and John Wick, but
Saul is his character from the
Saul is Better Call Saul. That's his that's his fucking name in the
okay, it's the Breaking Bad spin-off.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
I'm atrocious with names.
Yeah. I mean, I just always think of him from doing stuff Mr. Show, like way back on
Oh, right, yeah. Well, that too. His name from that as well. He just there's just not much. Excuse me. There's a race going on outside. There's just not much like give to anything as far as his emotions are concerned. Where it's just like, yeah, I'm in trouble. Yeah, I'm home with my family. Yeah, I'm just saving the day. It just all feels really ho hum. Just another Tuesday. And I'm not saying it makes the movie bad or anything. It just kind of takes me out of the experience.
Sure.
If that makes any sense.
No, that's fair. I mean, I thought that it's because Keanu is so stoic and so like no emotion at all. The fact that Odenkirk brought, at least in my estimation, a little bit more to the table as far as like conflict with his wife and his little son being an asshole and stuff like that. I felt like there was a little bit more going on with those dynamics, but
yeah, you got the feeling that he was actually concerned about his home life during any of that, though. Really?
I did. I mean, to a degree, but he's obviously to this point where he's. I mean, he's seen some shit, and he still cares, but. I don't know. It was done by the guy who made Hardcore Henry, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if either of you guys saw that. The first perspective bit of craziness, although it was from the John Wick writer, so that's where you can see the similarities. But I thought it was well directed. I mean, some of the fight scenes, the villain was paper thin. The guy who was going on stage and like singing the show is the like kind of songs, show tunes and whatnot was the word I was looking for. But yeah, I thought action sequences were adequately commenced, and I at least thought that he was a little bit more of an interesting character, especially with his supporting cast of like RZA and Christopher Lloyd compared to John Wick. But personal opinion, obviously.
Yeah. I just feel like it's easier to buy John Wick because he's lost everything. There's nothing left for him to fight for.
Okay.
Whereas Odenkirk, he's got stuff that he's fighting for, but he has that same fuck it. He's got that same I don't give a shit. I'm balls deep. Let's go.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
was
like,
very
hey,
much like flicking the switch, man. You know,
Yeah.
the bus scene is where he's just like, okay, I'm right back in it. So
Yeah, yeah, and he doesn't have to do that. Like there's decisions he should be making to hold himself back. But
yeah, and that's a good point because like CP, you're right in the fact that whereas John Wick felt very much like he wanted to be away from it.
Yeah.
First character in Nobody, like the bus scene, he was almost aching for it. Like he wanted very much to get back into it as a character.
Yeah.
He wanted to just rage. So,
right,
yeah.
right. I agree. Well, I agree with my own sentiment.
No, and great points, obviously, as I would have expected from you. So, I was entertained by it, and I think it is very much.
I was entertained. Don't get me wrong. I was entertained.
Yeah, I don't know if it's per a theatrical experience because people do have the dueling option currently, but yeah. Watch.
So, without further ado, the big winners of the Academy of look, society, this is what you should be doing now.
I should become a nomad. Okay, all right, bye guys, peace.
This is what the world is today. Here, look.
And I've seen a lot of critical articles about Nomadland, ironically, leading up to this award ceremony because, you know, the way that it just kind of beat ass on, you know, Independent Spirit Awards and, you know, Globes and, you know, different award ceremonies. A lot of people thought it was going to be the main winner, which it was. I've kind of regressed about my appreciation for this film to a degree. I think it's wonderfully shot. And it's very pretty, and it's very sad. And I all too often find just a sort of like weird sanctuary in sad films. I don't know why that is. Stuff like Falling Down, and you know, films that just invoke sad movies. Holy shit, you know. But Nomadland just didn't do it for me quite as much. I feel like there were other movies that had a much more poignant thing to say. But obviously, I'm very intrigued to hear what you guys think about you know, this being considered the best film of the year.
No.
I didn't really see like a lot of movies this year. I'll admit that, and I usually make the effort to try and see. Yeah, that's true. So I didn't. I think I only saw like 3 of the Oscar noms. I could have sworn Ma Rainey's was getting nominated, so that would have been my 4th one, but that didn't end up happening. I really dug Nomadland though. Nomadland. The laddie from over there is a bit of a nomad.
Nomadland. We have no woman, Nomadland. Sorry.
You're making me chuckle, dude. Don't worry. It was just a very unique experience. At least it felt like that for me. Especially because, like, I don't know. I think we all had that thought during COVID that just everything's just going to collapse and just all of society is just going to end to some degree. Like, maybe that's just me. Maybe I was just being a Debbie Downer. Who knows? So just kind of seeing the lifestyle of people that kind of live on the fringe of all that and kind of getting by on their own merits and what they have and what they can trade for and things like that was in one part fascinating, but then like also there's the fact that like that actually does kind of happen. Like there was that town and it did just kind of cease to exist, and everyone that lived there was just kind of just like more or less left out to high and dry. Whether it's the best movie of the year, I can't say because, again, I didn't see nearly enough movies to qualify for that argument in any way, shape, or form. But I did really like it, and I'm kind of okay with it winning. Again, I keep that asterisk up there. I'm okay with it winning. I saw 3 of the nominees, so who knows? But I dug it. I really did.
Yeah, I think there's something cool to almost like the hippie punk rock off the grid aspect of the film and the storytelling that has an allure to a degree. And I mean, myself is like, well, I love to consider myself an artist. I don't know if I'm always there. You know, I probably critique more art than I actually create, to be fair about it. But no, there was something very cool about that. But for me, I think Judas and the Black Messiah, and you know, even Minari. I think as I'm looking at and even to some degree, The Father, I feel like aside from Mank, just about everything else in the consideration was better than this movie. But then again, that's just, you know, storytelling that spoke to me, I guess, you know, without getting too into it. So
I get that. I don't know. It also just made me really excited for Eternals. Like I'm like I had no interest in that movie, and I'm like, oh, this director's what's up? Okay, sure, why not? So it 180'd on me. It 180'd a movie for me that I was not interested in.
I had only recently watched Sound of Metal and shit. What is the other name of the other movie? Sound of Metal I thought was fantastic. I thought that it won awards where it really should have in all of the technical departments, because that was phenomenal.
The sound design of like seeing what he was experiencing, like, you know, just being there with like the buzzing and like
even with the implants and stuff. Yeah, it was just like, oh. Is that what
the way they mix the sound and the implants is like, God, I would have loved to have done that. That's like a sound guy's dream right there. That had to have been so fun to try and piece together and research and things like that.
Sorry, unplug me. I don't need all that fucking low pass bullshit. Just get it out.
Spoilers, and the fact that the movie ends like that.
With him.
Yeah.
Oh, like
fucking 40 grand.
Yeah, and as a drummer myself, guys, like that movie spoke to me incessantly and just very heartbreakingly, unfortunately, especially for the sheer fact that I have really bad eyesight too. You know, I work on bad ears and bad eyes, and I'm just like, oh my God, if those senses are gone.
Well, it's the drumming, the vibration section make your eyes worse over time. So
what? No, wait a minute. Drummers are the timekeepers of the band, if I'm not mistaken.
They are, of course.
So technically, of all the musicians, drummers don't technically need to hear. You just need to keep time.
I mean, you can feel the rhythm, which they explore in the film, where he's like on the slide with that kid, which is a really great scene, man. I mean, like Riz adds, like Riz, as I said, I think I like earlier in this, maybe before we went live, but between Riz and Hopkins and Chadwick, like I would have been okay with any of those three guys getting it. You know, I didn't want Gary to get it because I don't like Mank very much, but you know, it still won something. So, you know, whatever.
What was the other one that I saw? I can't remember.
The guy, I'm blanking on his name, who could read lips in that movie. That was a hell of a performance.
His counselor. Yeah.
And that's the guy who won Best Supporting Actor, if I remember correctly, right?
Oh, did he? Here, let me double check that.
He did. I've got the winners list pulled up. But
Daniel Kaluuya for
that's right. That's right. No. I'm thinking of the Globes because maybe they broke it up or whatever.
Oh, Minari's the other one I saw. And I will say that even with my current infatuation with Korean cinema lately, I snoozed through
interesting.
Kept waiting for something to happen. And I guess something happened at the end there, and that's your movie.
That's a movie for me that's all about the relationship between the little boy and the grandmother. I mean, that's the heart and soul of that film. At least
I'll give you that.
You know,
I'm not giving out awards for that shit, though. Sorry.
Well, I mean, watched Steven actually listened to Steven in Invincible, which I saw Lindsey tweeting about because, dude, it was a Facebook post maybe. That show, dude. Oh,
I love it.
That show's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I am 100% there with you, man. This week is the season finale, I think, and I'm like,
we're all set for a review. I'm stoked.
There's definitely that, but like, I'm not ready. I want more. I don't want the season to be over yet. I want all 155 episodes because, like, I think that's how many issues there are. Yeah. I don't want it to end. I am obsessed. I can't stop watching the clips on YouTube. I can't stop thinking about it or texting about it with a friend of mine. Steven Yeun's on top of the world right now, man.
Yeah, and that's where Kirkman, he said they don't even have a confirmed second season, unfortunately. But Cecil has read every single issue. He has every issue, and he's spoilers. And I'm like, shut up, man. Please just leave it be, because they're obviously making a few alterations here and there in the show.
Right.
But
Chicago 7 was.
Oh, we're not done talking about Invincible yet, bro. This is an Invincible cast for me right now. Like,
sorry.
No, keep going.
Chicago 7, was that adapted or regular?
I believe it was. Oh, damn! I want to say adapted, but I mean, I have the link right here, so I will. I think The Father was the adapted winner, if I remember correctly.
Father was adapted. Promising Young Woman was best screenplay.
Was original, yeah. I actually loved Trial of Chicago 7, man. I mean, it was a very Sorkin film, especially in like the music and like the means of editing and stuff like that. It felt very much like a film of his. But
I watched that.
Man.
I watched that and said, "There's no way that's not winning best screenplay, whatever category it's in."
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I gotta get on that.
And I'm curious to know which category it got slaughtered in, because.
Yeah, it was original as it shows right here. Yep, Aaron Sorkin. Original. Yeah, so it went against Judas and the Black Messiah, Minari, Sound of Metal. That's the thing. Promising Young Woman, which won in the original screenplay department. Even my lady who is like knows people and like as far as horrible experiences, like what is documented in that, without going into any specifics deliberately here. She had problems with that movie, especially the second act, and she thought that it got too silly and it took away some of the seriousness of the subject matter. And then in the third act, it goes like super dark, especially with the finale, as you guys know if you've seen it. I can't remember if you have or not. So she was not okay with that because we watched the whole broadcast ourselves. I thought it kind of probably should have gone to Judas, but that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about this year. I don't know what's the big movie that the Oscars hang their hat on and say, look, we did something great, because they always love doing that. Oh, never mind what was the best, but look what Rocky story we get to hang our hat on. And oh man, isn't it incredible that the South Korean movie won Best Picture? And oh boy, wasn't that fantastic? You should watch next year, because who knows what's going to happen.
Well, I think last year's Oscars is a really hard one to follow, because like it was one of those few years where like the best movie actually did win.
Dude, I've in my lifetime, I've never rooted for a movie, watched and been shocked to watch it win. And I was like, what the fuck? How did that happen?
Yeah, and the momentum aspect throughout the course of the broadcast is, like he just kept winning more. He was even surprised, he was shocked about it. So
it led to the best picture ever of him having his 2 Oscars and making them kiss.
Yeah. Although I must say, the best international feature, which was another round with Nicholson, obviously, it's already in development as a American version with Leonardo DiCaprio. It makes me scratch my head a little bit, because that film, I don't know if you guys have seen it, man. I think it streams on Prime currently. It's so friggin' good. It's a delight, and yet it's very humorous, and then does veer into some darker territory as the experimentation of just this constant essence of intoxication, prolongs and stuff. But what a film. And I mean, I don't know, the Academy likes to give some sort of distinction to an international director in the directing category specifically, which, he got nommed. Everybody knew Chloe was going to get it. There wasn't really much consideration beyond that. But even to get nominated, I would imagine is pretty freaking cool. So
Jacob says, do you think Riz Ahmed and Olivia Cook are done at the end of Sound of Metal? It is kind of ambiguous. I don't think it's ambiguous. I think they're done.
I think it's definitely done. Yeah, she's back in France and, living
He's
under
got
her
his
father's
bag with him.
wing, and yeah, sad.
I do like that the dad didn't just kick him out. I thought that was a really nice twist on, like, because always the parents are always disapproving of characters like Riz Ahmed. So I really like that they actually had like a really sweet scene where the dad was like, you know what, you were good for my daughter in these capacities and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's what her singing and the music with the dad moment and him not being able to hear it was really, they're just on different wavelengths.
Wavelength sound. Get it? Because he's deaf. He's deaf, so he can't hear wavelengths.
Yeah. Yeah, the scene at that dinner party just crushed my soul, man. It made me so sad, where he thinks he's over that proverbial hump and things are going to get better, and it's a very harsh reality check. So
that movie kicks you in the guts so many times. Like when the Paul Raci, I think is the actor, the lip reading guy, when he turns him away, it's like, that movie.
Even he breaks down. He knows that, like, I might have just fucking turned someone to drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough in that regard. Well, I mean, the main thing, guys, that I think we need to at least address is the fact that they altered the structure very deliberately for the Oscars this year.
Oh,
and
yes.
It's been talked about, and I mean, THR deadline, it's been talked about everywhere. But they banked on something that was not a definitive. And it's really strange to me, the fact that, wouldn't you think that they would clue in producers to who the winner actually is going to be? And so maybe they wouldn't make a decision like that would become so anticlimactic with who ended up actually winning the Best Actor, because they usually conclude the ceremony with Best Picture, and they did not do it this year. They shifted Best Actor, presumably because Chadwick Boseman was going to win for Ma Rainey's, and he did not. And
then they fucked up.
Yeah, no, it was a massive fuck up, like dropping the torch, or whatever the terminology is. It's eluding me right now. Like they messed up, And so, sad and strange, and just, I mean, Steven Soderbergh, a very celebrated director, was the one who was producing the Oscars this year primarily. He had a couple other co-producers and stuff, but like what happened? I mean, did you guys actually watch that final segment at all?
No, I haven't, but it's really weird to me that something like this would happen just a couple of years after the La La Land incident.
Yeah, with the wrong ballots.
Dude, like, this is the problem. With the Oscars always have this problem. Are you an award show, or are you a feel-good fucking I don't know, ego reimbursement system? Because either you're just giving awards for the best performances, or you're trying to make your own narrative yourself. You can't do a little bit of both. Just give out the best. There should be no storyline, no dramatics to any of that. Look, this is the best actor. This is the best actress. This is the best supporting actress. This is supporting actor. This is the best director. That's it. And we're up to the last thing, which is movie. And here it is. And thank you. Good night. But they've gone so fucking far in the other direction about making it about, aren't we great? How great is this going to be? We're going to do a thing that you guys are going to be so happy for, and get those hashtags ready, because we're going to be so awesome. And you're an award show.
As long as they're not Oscars so white, like we had a few years ago, right? As long as that's not the hashtag that's trending, like.
Yeah, it is kind of a sad thing to watch this old celebrated thing kind of just losing its relevancy as time's kind of going on and on. And it probably would be a good idea in a lot of ways to just completely streamline the entire affair. Maybe take out speeches, although there's been a ton of speeches that I've loved over the years. And what's his name this year when he was talking about his parents? That was amazing. I did see clips of that. Daniel Kaluuya, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm sorry, I'm a white racist. But he's a great actor, and his story was adorable, and I'm glad he won and he got to tell a story. But at the same time, though, I don't know. Like, I feel like it is good to, remind people sometimes that art does need to have, a little bit of a purpose behind it, a little bit of a heart, a little bit of a soul, maybe. Like, maybe they go a little overboard with it. And maybe sometimes the speeches go on for way too long. That definitely is a reality. But I don't know. I think it's overall a positive in the world, even if, like, I think they need to change up, the fact that there's like 90-year-old directors or sound editors or stuff like that from like the 60s that haven't worked in 20, 30 years that are in there and kind of, I don't know, kind of maybe making the movie that shouldn't really win be the one that wins sometimes. And maybe they should go to the popular vote instead of the weird, complicated system that they have that's kind of hard to describe in one sitting. I think there's a lot of changes that the Oscars can make, but I don't necessarily think that we need to get rid of it. Or I think just a restructuring of it would be a good idea. And also just have Jon Stewart host every year, because when the times that he hosted when I was a kid, those were the best. The absolute best.
Yeah, don't bring back Billy Crystal, unfortunately. As much as I love, a lot of stuff that he did over the years,
Oh, yeah.
Forget Paris. No, come on, guys. No, leave it at that. No, it's interesting, though, because of the fact that they have gone with this non-host like kind of format over the years, the last 2 or 3, I think, specifically. And I think that's where they've tried to impart this narrative specifically and tried to have like a threading theme more so than just honoring these films and these actors and, creators and stuff like that. And maybe they're still kind of trying to find their footing within that regard, or, so I surmise. So.
Well, that all started with Hart, didn't it? Didn't it start with Kevin Hart? Kevin Hart was
he the guy who did it? I'm trying to.
I know it was a couple of years back, but ever since then, it seems like they're like, maybe we don't need a host.
Yeah, I think the one that I saw a lot of people talking about was when Hathaway and Franco hosted together.
Oh, yeah.
Just the debacle. I think that was 10 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken. But the fact that he's on his phone, and it was just such a very youth-centric situation, when the Oscars are obviously about honoring these old revered sort of creators a lot of the time.
Also, he was very obviously stoned. Like, I've got nothing against people that do that, or even
lasered, man.
Yeah, he was very out of it.
Yeah.
Well, which that gave me flashbacks to, I think it was Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Didn't they admit later on that they showed up on acid when they
at the Oscars, where really dressed in dresses, it's so freaking funny, man. And you see some of those red carpet photos, and you're like, oh my god, very bold guys, audacious in that.
I think I'd do something like that if I ever got invited to the Oscars for something of mine that got nominated. I would just show up in just a hot pink suit or something like that and just be like, yeah, what's up, guys? I'd wear my tie that's got a hippo jumping into a kiddie pool in it with a hot pink suit and just go nuts.
Yeah, man. What else? Are we good with the Oscars? Do we have news? News?
Yeah, there's not an extensive amount. I mean, it was really just lots of debate and lots of people being upset about certain decisions and stuff like that. Most notably, the fact that Anthony Hopkins won the Best Actor, but I don't know if you guys have seen The Father. It's really good.
Yeah, no.
Coleman is also awesome in it. Between Riz and him and Chadwick, as I've said a couple times in this broadcast, those were the prime 3. That I think, another one is the fact that Frances McDormand won, and whereas Meryl has won in a few supporting categories, I think all of Frances's have been in the leading category, and so people are like, is she toe-to-toe with her as far as prominence at this particular point? I think it's possibly arguable. I'm not the biggest, I don't love Streep like a lot of people. She feels to me like she just gets nominated just about any time she does something.
Yeah, Streep had a very strong, had a very strong 70s and 80s, and she's kind of been coasting.
Yeah.
I think in the right role, she's amazing. But I think like sometimes, like Into the Woods. I don't know about that.
Yeah, she's like the female version of Jack Nicholson, where it's just like, yeah, Oscar. What, really? Just because she made a movie? I don't know about all that stuff.
You guys want to talk about the Razzies, by the way? We were talked about that on the show.
Oh, who?
I would love to, but I did not specifically look at them. But I would love
likewise
to quickly because they're the night before.
I'm open to learn.
I mean, there's some good ones in here. I haven't seen some of these movies. Like The Worst Picture is Absolute Proof by OAN News Network, which is hilarious to me. I don't know what the deal with that is, but Mike Lindell won Best Actor for that, which makes me kind of happy.
Fuck right out.
And then Fantasy Island is on here a lot. Like a lot of the actresses,
that
the
screenplay.
movie.
Yeah, it was a Blumhouse film actually, and Cecil went to a theater to see that, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to go with you to see that.
I'm surprised.
You know,
it was one of the last ones I saw before quarantine. But yeah, I saw that.
Maybe we'll blame that for quarantine. That's wild shit.
Freaking Jason Blum is trying to hide this movie's existence from the world as much as possible. So
okay, so I have not got to the deadline article yet, Lindsay, but I would imagine that music is on here, which is the the Sia film. Which
I also have a trailer I'd like to talk about.
I need to see that. I'm very curious. They won Worst Director for the record. Music did. What trailer do you want to talk about, though, CP?
It's for this little Universal project that's coming out, I think, next year with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Vin Diesel, and it's about cars and they're jumping.
Oh, isn't The Rock not in that?
Is he not? I thought
I don't think
was.
The Rock's in that because he can't get along with Vin Diesel.
They split up those like franchise players.
Shows how much I paid attention.
I'll double check right now because I'd love him to be in it because I love The Rock and I think the Fast movies are the best when he's in them. Like,
it just felt really bad, like really, really, really bad.
Well, the trailer when they're like literally like going up into space, I'm like, no, you wait till 10 to go into space. Come on, you do.
What's next? And then they show flying cars, and it's like, okay.
Tyrese and
you guys,
the other rapper.
You guys are literally telegraphing the joke that we were talking about 10 years ago, guys. Why?
It does not look like The Rock is in this. John Cena's in it, and I do love me some John Cena.
Yeah, and he's his brother, right? Mm-hmm. He's Vin Diesel's brother.
He's playing Vin Diesel's brother in this film.
Who's just been quiet for a fucking 2 decades because, that's how you do things.
Well, as I look at the Razzies here, I don't think Kate Hudson was like horrible in music. It was just a bad movie, man. I mean, I have such a soft spot for Kate Hudson, Almost Famous, and, lots of other stuff. But what are you gonna do? This is my first time looking at the
Fuego. Did you see Honeydew?
I did actually. The one that's Bloody Disgusting is pushing like crazy right now. I saw that
Spielberg's son.
Yeah, Spielberg's kid, and he's been on like he was on Drew Barrymore, he was on Good Morning America. He's been hyping this. As far as like the time cyclical sort of situation without spoiling stuff, I saw it way back at Chattanooga Film Festival when I got pressed for that last year. I think it was like last April, so it was very early in the pandemic. I was not that impressed with it, personally. It's got some Major Texas Chainsaw vibes,
Yes,
and, like decently made, but it did not blow me away. And Dark Star, and that I think is the like marketing company, and Bloody they are pushing it so hard on Twitter and all of their socials right now.
What's it about?
Well, I just need to ask real quick: is Dark Star a person or a company?
No, it's a company. It's the
one
with the yellow
pictures, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, man, it's been like a year since I've seen it. So at this point, there was a quarreling couple, if I remember correctly, and they basically find themselves in the clutches of this like backwoods sort of crazy situation with these older
Very
people.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, and there's a
Stuck in
torture aspect.
Land. Yeah.
It just didn't work for me very much. Just like Lucky didn't work for me very much, which is on Shudder currently. A lot of stuff that I saw at Chattanooga just did not blow me away. Now In the Earth is awesome, and that's the new Ben Wheatley movie that I saw at Sundance in January, and that movie is rad status. It has some shades of Altered States as far as the psychedelia involved. It was filmed during the quarantine, and so the cast is maybe like less than 10 people, single digits, and it's really intriguing. It's about this guy who was basically in the UK, and he's trying to go into this isolated forest area and find this missing doctor who has been conducting some experiments that were, hopefully going to be utilized to, help with vaccines and stuff like that. It's fascinating. It's visually arresting. In the Earth, I don't know if it's in theaters and on VOD right now, but it's dope. It's one of my favorites of the year so far. So
cool.
Yeah, In the Earth. It's really good.
It's not Honeydew.
Yes, not Honeydew, man. Everybody has been like balls on the chin for that movie, and
I
think myself and Jason Smith, and obviously you, and Sir CP, being on the same contingent. Yeah, I didn't. That was okay, but not some sort of revelation. As
Get your balls off my chin.
Right
You can't
now.
even come on my back.
Amen.
In the
Right?
toilet. I'm not having anything to do with your honeydew.
Man, I was about to make why are you guys hating on honeydew melons so much? But now you guys have gone off in a completely different direction.
Like it's just so weird at times.
Watermelon, I'm more of a honeydew guy.
There's just times where it's like, pay one of these things off, please. Just pay one of these things off. Why is this guy?
Spielberg's kid he's just okay, and I don't know how much
fair to middling.
Was he a good actor, or director, or what's he doing it?
He's an actor. Yeah, he's the male lead. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought the girls, our final girl, is a lot better than him, but nonetheless.
Woof.
Yeah. Amen.
Interesting.
News. All those new news.
Unfortunately,
not a lot. I guess. Did we ever get definitive numbers on how well the Snyder Cut performed for HBO? Because they're doing pretty good between Godzilla and Mortal Kombat now, and the Snyder Cut was a huge hit for them. That's really good for the service.
I will. Fucking American Pie comes up when I search Snyder.
American Pie. the famous Zack Snyder movie, American Pie.
The infamous American Pie Snyder Cut.
I would love the shit out of like a Snyder Cut of American Pie. That would be so dark and weird. I would be totally on board with that. Oh, wait, we can talk about that. Army of the Dead. We haven't talked about that on the show yet.
I haven't watched that yet.
Oh, it's not.
It's not out yet. But
it's still a couple weeks away. Yeah,
I thought it was 20. Okay, go ahead.
It looks fun. It's Snyder going back to zombies, and I quite like Dawn of the Dead. There's a shout out to Pasadena in there that makes me happy because I live in Pasadena, and Snyder.
I was about to say the restaurant. I saw you. It was either a tweet or a Facebook post, and you were just like, "What's your breakfast burrito you get, dude?" Blah blah.
No, they're world famous for their breakfast burritos at Lucky Boy, and so I just did it for fun. Yeah, so that made me smile, and I love Dave Bautista. I really do. So I guess I like wrestlers that turn into actors. The Rock, Dave Bautista, John Cena. I've sung all their praises tonight.
Oh man, Hogan, Suburban Commando.
Of course. Three Ninjas, High Noon at Action Mountain, or whatever.
That's right. He was the villain in that, if I remember. Yeah,
he was. I don't even remember what he did. I just remember he was in it.
Yeah,
but
No Holds Barred shit. I mean, Hogan was in a lot of stuff, but he just never really reached the heights of The Rock. I'm Rocky Maivia, whatever the real name is. I often forget, but yeah, he has hit that top of the totem pole, so to speak. So
Agreed. It's so funny how The Rock managed to get there too after starting his career off with things like The Mummy Returns and The Scorpion King, and
which
The
I
Tooth
referenced
Fairy
earlier in this broadcast, actually.
Oh, that's right, you did. It was actually a writer that wrote The Scorpion King that I like too, David Hayter. He does some voice acting work that I quite like, and he wrote one of the X-Men movies. Oh, and Watchmen. Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, and the Snyder connection just comes right back into full force.
It all just comes back to Snyder, man. It's like instead of 6 degrees of separation of Kevin Bacon, it's 6 degrees of Snyder. What about you, CB? You got anything else? I'm just vamping. I can do this all night. Like
I have
2 peanuts are walking down the street. One was assaulted.
I have some. They're so protective of their digital numbers. But what I will say from what they've released is of the superhero genre. WandaVision season 1 episode 1 had the most eyes on it.
Okay.
Opening weekend.
Remember, divide that number in half because 2 eyeballs per person.
If not more.
Number 2 was Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay.
Number 3 was Wonder Woman 1984. Number 4 was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Season 1, episode 1. So
which they did. That is a story that we didn't mention and that I totally neglected, is the fact that they announced that there is a 4th Captain America movie coming that plays off of what transpired at the end of that series, which I haven't finished watching that, so seeing that announcement, I'm just like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to continue forward. I'm going to forge there, but nonetheless, it does make a lot of sense, obviously, especially with what transpires in the comic books. So,
well, what was kind of fun about the shows, and I've got my issues with it, and we'll talk about that next week or whenever you guys are all finished up with it, but there was technically 3 candidates to be the next to him running around for a minute on this show, so it is kind of up in the air. Who's it going to be? And then they just announced the day after the final episode airs, like, oh, we're doing this. It's like, oh, okay, so I guess it's him.
I'm a big fan of Kurt Russell's kid, and just seeing him it was weird, seeing him in that role a little bit, because I mean, he was on Black Mirror and what was the World War II
movie he did? I love that movie so much. Overlord.
Oh yeah. Oh, awesome movie with the
love that movie.
Zombie sort of situation, and also Richard Linklater's baseball movie, his spiritual sequel to Dazed and Confused, which I was a big fan as well. Everybody wants some.
Everybody
wants some. Yeah, the 80s baseball movie. He was great in that too. As the weird guy who's still hanging around at the dorms, and he's in his 30s and shouldn't even be on the team anymore. He's funny in that as the stoner dude. So
I think he's a good actor too. I'm upset how much the internet really was shitting on him just because he's playing a character you're not supposed to like. It's like, come on, guys, it's not him. If you don't like him, he's doing his job. Stop hating on him.
Yeah, and I've always seen him with a beard though, and I think that's where he threw some viewers off a little bit too. But
did you see the thing where the guy from Up was he put the Captain America thing on and he looks a lot like Wyatt Russell does? It's a little mean, but it's kind of funny.
Okay, some more interesting hyper bites of information. Yeah, they're like little spoonfuls of information here. Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Zack Snyder.
CP. I'm actually wondering if you're seeing the same bit of information that I did, where it showed about the actual watch time of people who tuned into Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I don't have that. I have that Netflix judges by 2-minute chunks. So I will get to that in a second. But top watched movie in the U.S. the weekend of its release was Justice League or the Snyder Cut.
I was supposed to say, wait, which one? It was the original.
Yeah, because I watched both that weekend.
Well, hold on. Let me get to the punchline. 7.6% of everything available on respective media. Zack Snyder's Justice League came in first with 7.6%. In second place was Yes Day with 1.2%.
Yeah, that was the Jennifer. No, goodness,
Yes Day.
I remember. Yeah, it's about the. It's like a Netflix film where the parents are like letting the kids do whatever they want, and it's very PG sort of silliness from what I recall from the trailer.
Sounds like a BDSM movie, if you ask me.
Maybe.
Number 3 is Coming to America with 0.9%. And then you trickle down a bit, and number 11 is Justice League, also known as Justice League, with 0.4%. Then you go further down here, and the demand is what's interesting, because they can only judge this on a certain amount of time. Wonder Woman at the same point in time had about a demand of 100,000 households, whereas the Snyder Cut is somewhere around 130,000. So it's high, outpacing the demand of Wonder Woman 84. I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
That's an interesting figure to go with, for sure.
And by the interesting statistic that Netflix has, that these people watched at least 2 minutes of a thing. Soul leads everything with at least 2 minutes. 2.4 million people watched at least 2 minutes of Soul. 2.2 million people watched at least 2 minutes of Wonder Woman 84. And then 1.8 million people watched at least 2 minutes of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Okay.
What else do we have here?
So it didn't break the records, but it did pretty good.
Well.
It did good. Yeah. Good for it.
Well.
It did well, and it didn't crush. The statistic that I just found, and this is what I was alluding to with CP, is the fact that 1.8 million households tuned in for at least 5 minutes of the Snyder Cut, but a million less, only 800,000 watched the entirety of that nasty 2:42 runtime.
Oh, is that all?
How do they, I guess, conclude the success? I mean, I think the biggest thing is that HBO Max found itself a lot more subscribers with Godzilla vs. Kong, with Mortal Kombat, and obviously dating back to Snyder Cut and Wonder Woman 84. So, it's been a successful experiment per se, especially with some of the box office numbers that we've seen. But I know we're gonna talk about it in depth at some particular point. But as CP I think pointed out a couple weeks ago when we had our last broadcast on this show, WB has decided that this has been a temporary thing officially, and they are not going to continue doing this when we forge into the next calendar year. They're going back to strictly theatrical, to the best of my understanding. I guess as more peeps are being vaxxed and feeling comfortable, and everything is starting to reopen in the upcoming months. Even here in Arizona, I don't know how things are in the NY and Cali, but there's friends of mine who are finally booking concerts, and they're going to play shows. And
yeah, I'm not doing that.
All of this is kind of starting to open back up, but only time will tell if we don't have a similar situation to certain places overseas where they're declaring states of emergency once again, and super shutting shit down, because we've seen that in lots of stuff, especially in the Far East. So
I have a feeling we have another shutdown coming too. I don't know when or how. I just got that feeling in my bones. But here in Cali, just numbers are still high. A lot of people are saying they're not going to get the virus. They're not going to get the virus. They're not going to get the vaccine. And then a lot of people I've read online apparently are just getting the first vaccine and not going back for the second one. So I think that's going to have some
Yeah, America.
Negative impacts.
Yeah. Well, and I think the J&J concerns really hurt people's speculation. If you were on the fence about getting the vaccine already, you're like, oh, the Johnson & Johnson one has like, but it was for a specific contingent of like an age range of women.
Very small percentage.
Yeah, very small. Yeah. But it made my girlfriend not want to get it, because she was already lined up for that, and now she's like, no, I'll wait for the Pfizer. I'll wait for one of the others. Well, shit, there's only one other. What am I saying?
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask, why the fuck should I do that?
Yeah.
I was about to say, wait, I don't think that's exactly the quote.
That's what it is today.
It's a little bit of a different political atmosphere in the 70s.
My American libtard.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I mean, even some friends of mine in this band I was interviewing yesterday, they're like, fuck no, man, I'm not getting a vaccine. I'm not doing that. I don't trust these people. And I have a lot of friends and, people I don't agree with all of their convictions and sentiments and stuff like that, where, yeah, they're not down for it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame people for, I get it. I get it, but it's just such a weird time for that kind of thing. Like I'm not faulting anyone for not getting it, but at the same time, it's a little frustrating. Like I'm in that kind of sweet zone of like I get it, but that's where I'm at anyway.
Yeah, I'm
nowhere interesting. Sorry, go ahead, CP.
I'm just gonna say this like really quickly. Like I'm genuinely considering the idea of just opening a completely different chat for people that are normals, people that are regulars, so that you fucking moron can just try to do something somewhere else. Because, like, I don't know what your goal is here, but we're kind of tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. Who are you trying to impress?
Do we have Trolliolio?
Yeah, like congratulations, you'll have caused change, but you won't be able to speak ever again on any of these streams. So, I understand it's difficult to not be able to walk into a Walmart. I understand it's difficult to have a record. I understand it's difficult to see people who actually interact with each other and actually care for one another. I understand that hurts. That's it fuels your dumb jealousy brain. But the more you do this shit, the more I'm just tempted to just isolate anybody who has nothing to do with the general flow of the show. And there's plenty of people that just enjoy watching this show and contributing however the hell they want. You can have your cute little jabs every now and again, but if you're just gonna, yeah, there you go, and now you're gone. Like all you're doing is just letting the mods flex one another. There's no money scheme here. There's just a completely different chat for people to go to, so that scum fucks like you have nowhere to go, where you're gonna have to sign in and show who you are. Because you know what happens? Normal people who don't have anything to worry about, they don't mind signing in with their fucking regular name. So how about you just try being a human being instead of being an absolute piece of shit? Just try it. Just try it. We understand. It sucks living in a mobile home. It sucks.
I was going to say under a bridge, but
pretty close enough.
Seems to make the most sense, but
I understand that you got to wit's end to where you thought stealing from Walmart was the most optimal of your choices. That you thought stealing medical supplies was the smartest thing that you could do, which probably says a lot about your character and a hell of a lot less than mine. You asked for certain pieces of information from me. I provided them to you, And did you read them? No, you just kept going about your bullshit. Sir, I've given you the information pertaining my situation. Go fucking read it, shut your fucking mouth, and move about your day. How about that? I'm sorry, gentlemen. What were you saying?
No, that is fine. I will just double down really quickly and be like, those who take satisfaction in stirring the shit and trying to upset other people, if that's where you get your kicks, I don't understand it, and it's not how I was raised and what I feel like decent human being, existing entails. But others think differently. So
yeah, and stay out of a car, please. 10 DWIs is far too much. I would say 5 is far too much, but you doubled the holy shit. You shouldn't be in a car even as a passenger rule.
Yeah.
So anywho.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Chat's on your side here, at least.
I know they are.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
As they
There's one person, there's a party of one that's doing something for a party of one, and they think that they're uncovering this massive secret. And dude, I've been the most transparent. If anybody wants to see my bills, if anybody wants to see my situation, what this person is concerned with is the fact that I have items on my wall while everything is in disarray here. I could show you my kitchen where I have air conditioners on the floor. It's not pretty. It's not something that I would call camera ready, but I don't do that. If you'd like the absolute brutal truth, I can show you. I choose not to, and more often than not, 99% of the people take me at my word. For some reason, you and your absolute piece of shit nature can't handle that. You forget that there was a point in time where you put your phone number on the screen asking other YouTubers for help, and you forget who called that phone number back in 2016. It was me. I called that phone number saying, hey, just making sure you're okay. You never returned the phone call, but to each his own. I reached out to you, making sure that you were okay. I was concerned about somebody that I had no knowledge of, regardless of what the rest of the community was saying about you. So I don't know if you're bothered by the fact that I actually showed humanity and that breaks your little mental image of me. But there is something in common with you, with Theo, with Gino, all of you. The one common denominator is I've actually treated all of you like human beings, and you can't seem to handle that. And I don't know what to tell you. Stop being a fucking piece of shit. And maybe people will treat you with more respect. Sorry.
Straight up.
Yeah. Yeah. I that was an assumption, I think. Any other news?
I guess I'm just trying to understand. I guess this person thinks that you have way more money than you actually do, or something. Is that what the deal is?
There was a point where they thought that my Lindsey, as a SAG actor, so this person thought that my non-speaking appearance, non-speaking extra role on Ghost Rider was enough to just pay my way for the rest of my life.
I was about to say those residuals must have been just
the
Razzies, sir. Yeah,
the Razzies on that PBS show, man, are through the roof.
Well, first of all, you're on Ghost Rider, like the Nicolas Cage or the
Ghost Rider.
Okay, the dog
show.
I was going to say the PBS show back in the day
with the floating dock.
Oh, I remember that show though. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
You were on an episode of that?
Yeah, the
That's
show.
awesome.
The
Yeah, it
show
was like
that
Brad
has
and Wishbone, and like they had this block on PBS back in the '90s. That
yeah.
Because you know that PBS is just rolling in the money as the station.
did not.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
you know,
fuck that guy.
Woo! Oh, anything coming up this weekend?
Do you know, the only thing that I have a little bit of interest in is this film called Separation, which is a horror film. It has Brian Cox, Simon Quarterman. I don't know. It's like bottom line, it's from the same guy who directed the two boy movies, Brahms and William.
Oh, that's promising.
William Brentville, yeah, I know. And but since I reinstated my A list to go and check out a few things, this is one where I'm like, oh, I have an extra one this week, so yeah, I guess I'm gonna go watch Separation and see if it's any good. But he did Stay Alive, The Devil Inside, Where, and then the two boy movies before this one. So I'm not holding any sort of hope that this is great. Also in limited release, if I recall correctly, there is one with Glenn Close where her daughter is like trying to come off drugs, but unfortunately, I think it's only in New York and LA this weekend. Yeah, I know, which makes me sad because you guys know I'm almost like a Jason Smith
of us
to
could go.
see everything. It's called 4 Good Days, and it's the Cooch's wife, if I remember correctly. Why can't I think of her name? In any event, inconsequential. Yeah, it's about Glenn Close and Mila Kunis. That's the actress that I was trying to grasp for. And Mila, she's trying to get off some hardcore drugs, and Glenn Close is attempting to assist her through the process. But really, nothing major that is coming out, guys, until we get to Spiral on May 14th. So that is the next big release.
Son of a bitch.
Yep. So that is May 14th, and we get to see Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock doing a Saw film. So
who's distributing that? Is that still Universal?
I did.
Lionsgate.
Yep. Universal Lionsgate in contention, or excuse me, not contention, in cooperation with each other. And as I'm looking at some of the other stuff this upcoming month, we do have Quiet Place 2 is finally going to get released a year after Cecil and I were supposed to have press for it, which was funny that we've waited so long for this. And yeah, I mean, everything else is digital. The 3rd season of Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous, which I'm excited about. Next season of Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix that I'm very pumped about. And Army of the Dead, which we talked about a little earlier, which is actually going to have a small theatrical run May 14th before its Netflix drop on May 21st.
That's badass.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Jacob, thank you for the question. Do you guys know if Antlers is finally going to come out this year?
It is. It is dated for sometime in it's late summer, early fall. Sorry, I'm trying to jump here and get the actual release date. Like, this is the strange thing. Cecil and I joked about this the other day. So much that was supposed to come out last year has been pushed. The aforementioned Halloween Kills, which CP has some insight about, and then Candyman, and so many.
What you're talking about.
Yeah. so many of these films that were supposed to come out last year, they just pushed them like a freaking year, and we're finally going to get the chance to check them out. And Antlers, God, where the hell is it?
Speaking of my financial issues, do you know how okay I would be right now if I could just pump out Halloween hype videos every week?
Yeah, oh well, we know who does that specifically.
I'd be okay right now.
Did you ever get your new camera, by the way, CP?
No.
I'm sorry, man.
Camera. I'm worried about where I'm gonna sit next month.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, okay.
Didn't know that. Shit.
My bad, dude.
No, it's fine. This is a camera. This
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got a new webcam. I'm still trying to figure out how to light this thing. It's drastically different than my old one. I didn't realize it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does seem like everything is more even if that makes sense.
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
It's a lot brighter too, man.
No, thank you. You actually see my face.
Right. But so
you two look sexy as always. Don't you two can't complain. You guys look great.
Listen, if the lights were off, I look sexy.
So new release date is October 29th, at least currently, for the Kerry Russell, Guillermo del Toro produced Antlers, which has been like I have friends who have read that. I think it's a short story or a novella that it's based on, and they've just raved to no end about how awesome that story is. And it's another one, similar to some of those other prolific releases like Candyman and Halloween Kills that we've just been waiting around forever for. So.
Yeah. Are we watching anything this weekend?
The Invincible finale, if I can bring myself to do it. That's the only real thing I got planned right now. I messed up my back a week and a half ago, so it's messed up my video production. So I still have a Snyder Cut video I need to get done here. The only reason I'm functioning right now is because I'm on, let's just say, a lot of painkillers, and they're gonna wear off in a few minutes here.
Get fired up about those narcotics.
Oh, it's great when the painkillers are active, and then the moment they turn off, my entire back just feels like
turn off
with a sledgehammer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not a gradual drop off or anything. It's like I'm fine, I'm fucked.
So it's a drastic reminder as opposed to like a gradual kind of.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because both of my little brothers had like major soccer injuries, like ACL tears and stuff like that, and they were on major painkillers. But I've never taken any. Really,
that's good.
Yeah, I mean, even beyond
it's okay for a little bit, and then at least with if you get the stuff in your arms, like the morphine or any of that shit, like you feel all right. You're like, I think I kind of hurt, but it doesn't matter. And then it just slowly tapers off. You're like, actually, I think I'm in pain. No, I'm in pain. I'm definitely in pain right now. What is this?
I am not liking this.
So as far as the horror show goes, we have our big relaunch, which is coming next week.
Oh, yeah.
So Sunday is our farewell to the previous iteration. We're actually going to be shifting to a 3-day schedule now, which we're a little bit hesitant about, but we're still going to have a Hail to Stephen King. It's moving to Tuesdays. And I filmed a interview yesterday at Switchblade Sound here in Tempe, Arizona, right next to Arizona State University, with some friends of mine who are big Stephen King fans and have a new record coming out, which is it's like a side project. It's called Boogeyman. It's very throwback. I guess King Diamond meets the Misfits, meets a little bit of Iron Maiden. It's fun stuff, concept horror, like punk rock metal. And we also talked about Psy King as well. So that is coming next Tuesday. And this upcoming Sunday, we are doing a live stream with the girls. And basically everybody who has been a part of the horror show up until this point. It's kind of crazy to think it's been, 7 years at this point that we've been doing this this stuff. So yeah, it's going to be a very fond and fun celebration. So.
Hell yeah, man! I'm excited for you guys. It can be daunting to make changes like that sometimes, but it's worth it. You'll feel good afterwards.
Yeah, it's going to be shifting to a much more overlaid with cuts and images and stuff like that, as opposed to just turning on a camera and talking, which we kind of fell in the habit of over the years. We saw a significant surge of success at one particular point, and then numbers slowed. I mean, you guys know the weird ebb and flow of YouTubing is interesting. So
yeah, I know.
CP, I know specifically you do.
Mr. 1.1 million views in 1 month over there.
King Shark, King Shark.
I looked at his stats for a hot second, and I almost jumped off a bridge. I was like, "What?"
I was so happy for him, though. Come on.
Of course.
Thank you, guys. It's still shocking, but thank you very much.
Sure, Lindsey. But at the same time, I really feel sick to my stomach because how did that happen so fast?
I mean, I have theories. But that's all it is at the end of the day, is just theories. Like the last King Shark video I put out was specifically me trying to pander to everything that people were saying in the comments and things. I mean, it also made me laugh, but it was specifically me trying to like go towards what people were saying and things, and it did the worst out of all of them. So I have no idea. Like,
right thing, right time, man. I mean, we saw the biggest growth of our channel in 2017 when the King Assance was transpiring, and it was like, it was our Stephen King videos, the It stuff, our Tower stuff, and then a lot of that stuff dropped off over the years. You know, it just depends. It's really an opportunistic, even if it's not necessarily intentional, sort of situation. So, you know, that's it's weird.
It'd be a real shame if somebody were able to make some Halloween Kills content.
I know.
I mean, what if someone just made a channel just called Halloween Kills content?
Yeah.
That probably do.
As long as the IP address couldn't be traced, I think I'd be okay. But fuck, that would solve so many problems.
I answered Dice's question in the chat. Which crossroad did I sell my soul at? All of them.
Yeah, I looked at Lindsey's numbers for the month, and they outdo my channel, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
I mean, to be fair, all my other stuff is doing nowhere near. I mean, like, it's all getting serious bumps. Like, all my stuff from this year alone has gone from 60 views to about 500, which is amazing, and I couldn't be happier. But that pales in comparison to the 780,000.
Yeah. I don't even think I have 780,000 views on my channel.
Oh, you have to. I'd be very surprised.
You're precious, but congratulations, sir. You worked very hard for very long. You deserve it.
Thank you very much. You guys are kind. I'm going to get my first paycheck from YouTube. It's not much, but I'm going to get
one. Yay! Make sure you have your tax information filled out right, because they won't send it.
Yeah, I was going to say, got to have that 1080 all ready to go, dude.
I think $2, they take $3.
Yeah, and also the fact that like just the additional spending to file a 1080. Oh God, it's terrible. Independent contracting is rough sometimes.
Right?
Well, thanks to the encouragement here, guys. I feel great about where my life's going.
I watched the Irreversible or Irreversible, the straight cut. I was sent a copy of the Gaspar Noé film, which contains both the 2002 original and the 2020 straight cut. The straight cut is the same thing, essentially backwards. It's the original movie is something not unlike Memento.
Okay.
But the straight cut does it backwards. So the story feels linear. And I had a really... How do you say you had a decent time with a movie that features rape and homophobia and some extreme brutality? It was a better the film quality felt more pleasing. No, not pleasing. Shit.
Gives me flashbacks to the Kavanaugh hearings when someone described his accuser as very pleasing.
Did you drink? Did you?
Well, I mean, I was gonna say I found merits in a Siberian film, although I've never.
I agree.
Yeah, I've not seen the uncut version that, from what I understand, makes that particular bit a lot tougher to deal with. But I think the hype machine of offended everybody was like, I mean, shit, I think Baskin is grosser in some ways than, Siberian film. And there's others out there, most notably a Mexican film that is on Shudder that I am trying to remember, where there's like brother-sister incest, and it's an incest. Horrible. But
amongst other things, if you can separate yourself from the things that are happening on screen, at least the story is coherent.
Well, I mean, you guys are talking to a dude who will defend pink flamingos right here. So, I mean, if you guys have things to say about weird movies, like by all means, say it. Like,
and Jacob is right with that, and nothing has changed about that.
ooh.
It is the most uncomfortable that scene you'll ever take in. They haven't changed it. It's just 10 minutes. No camera movement, just
10 minutes?
10 minutes, camera on the ground. Yeah. I think Emily told me they took 4 takes. And to be an actor in a scene like that, like that's what I want to know. Like,
yeah, for a woman to simulate that sort of thing that many times, holy shit.
It's just weird all the way around. Like, how do you simulate that and then do it again? And then, oh no, you know what? I laughed.
We didn't get it quite right. Lynn.
Yeah.
Do it again.
4 takes. What?
Sorry, we had the lens on the camera. We had
Jesus. Yeah, I mean,
no, good.
Last House and Spit on Your Grave are pretty much where I've drawn the line about
Irreversible
like
is
yeah. It's not my subgenre of horror that I gravitate towards. You know, even stuff like the Boogans and the deep whatever creatures of the, and like even when there's monsters like raping women and stuff, it's horrible for me to see. I cannot deal with that sort of thing, and incredibly upsetting, man. So.
Yeah. It's far from pleasant.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'm doing in the next week. I don't know what my segue was, but
I think the closest thing to anything like that I've ever read about was 50 Shades of Grey, and it was right for the third one, 50 Shades Freed or whatever. And the 2 actors, I'm blanking, Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan, by the end there were like she was just doing shots of whiskey there on set to get through some of those sex scenes where like he would like have to go off and like just do a bunch of push-ups or something like that in order just to get energy pumped. Like they were just so tired of doing those things together to each other. They just couldn't stomach it anymore.
Which is a bummer because I actually really think she's a good actress. You know, as far as like the El Royale and some of the other stuff that I've seen her in, I think she's got chops. You know, I mean, coming from that prestigious family and whatnot, you know, Melanie and stuff, but.
I 100% agree. El Royale's amazing, and How to Be Single, is that the cutesy movie she did? That was pretty good too.
She's got that teeny part in Social Network too.
Oh, she does. That's right. Yeah.
She's the girl. That's
El Royale though. That's like the best Tarantino, like trying to be a Tarantino movie that I can remember from recent memory. Drew Goddard, you know, great script there. So
I adore that movie so much. I saw that 3 times in theaters. I love that movie.
Yeah, I need to revisit that. Yeah, I quite enjoyed Battle at the Royale, the something at the.
Well, there's Battle Royale, which is a great Japanese movie.
Wait, no,
which inspired. I mean, before Hunger Games and before all of that stuff, that Battle Royale. So.
Some of the first things I ever made for YouTube was talking about that. Don't watch it; it's really old. But if you want to support the channel, go ahead and watch it. But they're really old and painful.
Anything else before we shut her down, kids?
Yeah, nothing I can think of. So.
Well, Dice is recommending a movie over here called The Forbidden Zone, where Danny Elfman plays the devil, and I am
careful.
Apparently, it's not good, but I'm very tempted now.
Dice is nefarious with suggestions. I've come to learn.
We love you, Dice.
I guess I'll take the main stage again. So what we're going to do from now on, I realize our schedule has been hiccupy, to say the absolute very least. Show business is going to splinter into at least 3 different shows, where we're going to have show business proper, which will be what you know show business as. The show business matinee show, which may feature less than your normal dose of show business seers, myself included, which, if some of us can't make it, there will still be a show business show. We'll just call it the matinee edition. It might be tighter. It might be a little more focused, a little bit more news centric. And then the flip side will be the show business midnight show, where maybe we'll be a bit looser. Maybe we won't be constrained to 4 people. Maybe we'll have a couple of guests. Maybe we'll run a little bit wild. We'll just go down a rabbit hole with a certain movie or movies or what have you. But I'm slowly but surely thinking of integrating that into the near future. This way we don't have so many off weeks. But just be prepared for that. If the next time you see a show business that says matinee show or midnight show, you'll understand that, oh, matinee show, they're going to be missing some people. Or midnight show, it's going to be a lot more people than I expect.
And also a little bit of the throwback show, because I know you've been teasing behind the scenes without revealing, maybe bringing some people who were previously on the program back.
We'd like to have some sort of legend show, because we've been around a while now. No matter what the show's been called, we've been going a while. As far back as 2015, when it was called Coast to Coast, me, Lindsey, and Bob.
Damn, I was very late to the party in this regard.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. I've been doing it a couple of years with you now, but wow, I didn't even realize.
There's many different cycles to the show business thing, and even the name itself wasn't always the thing. So we're gonna try to be a little bit more regular with this, but how we name it should dictate what to expect. So in the title, what to expect, and until that, we'll see you next time. Goodbye. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody, except for you, and you know who you are.
Awesome.